Hi guys, welcome to my How to Play Keys at Church piano workshop. In this workshop I'm going to be covering basic chord theory, how to read chord charts, how to interpret the different symbols that may appear on those chord charts, and we may even do some transposing. Well, I've been playing piano and keys in church for 30 years, and truthfully, I do not sight read music well. I understand the theory. There's no reason I shouldn't be able to sight read, but I just find it is a struggle, like I have some kind of musical dyslexia when it comes to reading music quickly and playing it at the same time. Even though I fully understand the theory, I know all the notes, I can read all the notes, it just something in my head just does not compute. So when I started playing in church 30 years ago, I found myself preferring a chord chart and a recording. So if there was a guitar chord chart, then I would play the song using the chords, and I wouldn't even look at the music because I would find that looking at the music would throw me off somehow. So if I had music and there were no chords written on the music, I would figure out the chords and then I would write them on the music and I would follow the chords. So something strange has happened in the last 20 years. Maybe 10 years ago, I stopped receiving music. Normally the church that I would go to would supply music for the pianists and chord charts for the guitars. But now everybody has chord charts. No longer do we get piano music for the pianists. It's only chord charts, and so the keyboard players, the piano players, are expected to know how to read a chord chart if they want to join the team. So this is a hurdle for many people, so I'm going to explain how you do that. I'm going to explain how to get from playing just by music to playing from chord charts. So let's start. We are going to play in the key of C. So at the C scale, which you should all know, C to C, all the white notes, no black notes. So we're going to start our chord theory in the key of C. So the first chord we're going to learn is a C chord, and it's the first, the third and the fifth. The root formation of every chord always looks the same. 1, 3, 5. This is D minor, 1, 3, 5. E minor, 1, 3, 5. F, 1, 3, 5. G, 1, 3, 5. So in the key of C, we have these 6 chords. We want to learn all of those chords in the key of C. So on a chord chart, if you see a C, you can play this chord. If you see a G, you can play this chord. If you see an E minor, you can play this chord. So it's pretty simple, right? Now, what we want to do is we don't actually want to play a C here and a G here. We want our chords to be close together, and we want to play in between these notes here. So we kind of want to play our chords here in any of these notes. So I don't want to play my C up here. Okay, I want to play it here or here. Probably not here because of that note, but I want to play my C here or here. So with each chord, you should practice all of the inversions of that chord, because not only can you play the C here, you can also play it here or here. So you want to practice all of the inversions and become familiar with all the different ways that you can play a C chord. This is the basic C major chord. On a chord chart, we don't write C major, we just write C or F or G. And that means if there's no symbol, just that C or D or E, if there's no minor or major 7 or any of those other things, then it is just C major. We don't write the major because it's the most basic chord. Let's talk about 2 chords. So sometimes on a chord chart you'll come across a 2 chord, a 4 chord, a sus4, or just a sus. What do they mean? So that the numbers are telling you on your chord, so any chord that you're playing, let's take a G chord. We're playing the 1st, the 3rd, and the 5th to make up the major chord. If we see an instruction that says a 2, that means that we drop the 3 and we play the 2 instead. So it's going to look like this, and you should always practice this in the different positions, okay? So you want to go up and down and practice the 2 chords. And all that, because you can play a 2 chord anywhere where you have a major chord, you can put a 2 chord. You can try a 2 chord and see if it works, and if it works, just throw it in there. Even if it's not written, you can put a 2 chord in. But if it says 2 chord, then you should play a 2 chord. So in C we have a 2 chord, F 2 chord, G 2 chord. So if you have a 4 chord, it's the same principle. So let's say we're in G, we have a G chord. If we see a 4 or a sus4 or a sus, they're actually all the same thing. This is just different guitarists writing it differently, but it's all the same thing. It is lift the 3rd and play the 4th. Now if you see add 2, then that means you don't suspend the 3rd, you play the 3rd and you add the 2 note. All of the theory is the same. So if you see a 9, you count the notes for a C chord, okay, a C2, a C9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's actually a C2, but you're putting the 2 on the top, which makes it a 9. So that's just telling you the order to play. That's just telling you to put that note at the top. And then 11. So anyway, we don't need to worry too much about, if you see a 9 or an 11, just play a 2 chord and don't worry about those ones. Okay, let's talk about minor 7 chords. So let's say we have an E minor, but the chord says, on the chord chart it says E minor 7. So what are we going to play? We have our E minor. Now this is telling us to add the 7th note in. So if we count up, remember we're in the key of C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If we were in the key of G, we'd be going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The chords are still the same. So this is our E minor. But when we play in church, we don't put the minor note at the top of the chord. We want it in the middle. Now in church playing, sometimes I play 4 chord notes like this, but most of the time I will try to play 3 chord notes. So if I'm playing a minor, I'm going to play this. If I'm playing a minor 7, I'm going to play this. Now if you notice, this is actually all the notes in a G chord. Because the G chord and the E minor chord have 2 notes in common. These 2 notes here. So that's why if I'm playing an E minor 7, I can substitute the G chord because those are all the right notes. So there's relationships between the minor and the major that's 1, 2, 3 semitones above. So if we are in A minor, the relationship is with the major chord 1, 2, 3 notes above, which is the C chord. So if I'm playing an A minor 7, I can just play the C chord with the A on the bass, and that creates the A minor 7, because and the same is true for the D minor. Okay, so the D minor has a relationship with the 1, 2, 3 notes above major chord. So we can play the F over the D, and that gives us D minor 7, the D minor 7 sound. Okay, what about 7 chords? So if you see a C, a C7. How do we find the C7? Okay, this is where the logic breaks down, because if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we add that one in, sounds lovely, but it's not an E. It's not an E7. It's actually an E major 7. So the E major 7 is the one that you add the 7th note in. And what I'm actually playing is an E minor chord, because to find the major 7 chord, it's the minor that's 1, 2, 3, 4 notes above the major. So if you're playing any major, let's say we say F major 7, well, 4 notes above that is 1, 2, 3, 4 is A minor. So that means if I play F and A minor, then that creates the sound of the major 7. And so a famous song would be C major 7, D, B minor 7, E minor 7. But that major 7 is what sounds amazing. So, major 7. So the 7 is actually the flatted 7th. So wherever you see a 7th chord, you take the 7th note and you flatten it 1. So this is a tension chord that you'll often find on the 5 chord. So if you see this in music and we're in the key of C, you'll usually find it over the 5th chord, which is the G. So if we were in a progression, we might find it here. And so it's going to be, we're going to drop this one note by 2 to find that note, because we're flattening the 7th note. So it's here. Sounds like a song, right? It's like 100 songs. Twist and shout. Twist and shout. Shake it up, baby, now. Shake it up, baby. It's the 7th note right there. So that's the 7 notes. So we know how to add in. So to get the major 7, we drop the 1 note by 1. To get the 7, we drop the 1 note by 2, and we get there. So when you play a major chord, if you want to turn that major chord into a minor chord, you drop the 3rd note. Okay? Major, minor, major, minor. Now if we go to the D minor, we want to make that a major, we sharpen the 3rd. E minor, E major. F major, F minor. G major, G minor. So that's all we're doing. So sometimes you'll come across chords that have slashes in the middle. So if you see a C/E, that's telling your bass note to be an E. Not a C, but an E. Now, if you see that, now when I play, I frequently use, in the bass note, I will use the 1, the 5, and the 1. But if you have a slash note, you can't do that, because the chord, you actually have to play the 3 and the 1. You have to do this instead of this. If you do this, you're hitting, this note doesn't work in the C chord, so don't play the 5th if you're doing a bass note that's not the 1. This works. that works, but that's a bit full, so I would do that. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time.